Alright, so you want to get better at Magic. Whether you're trying to do better at your first FNM, or make it to your next rank in Arena, or do better in your next big tournament, or even qualify for the Mythic Championship. I want to help you learn a little bit more about how you can be giving yourself a better chance at winning your next tournament. Hey guys, my name's Steven, and today I'm going to be talking about articles. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about some of the best articles that I've found that helped me get better at Magic back when I was in college. Everything I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be linked in the description below, so make sure to check all of those out. While you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. So let's jump right into it. The first on my list is, in no particular order, Shoulders of Giants by Michael Flores. This was an article written back in 2013, and just like this video, it's a compilation of the top 20 articles of that era, and it just kind of goes through the list of what are some of the fundamentals of Magic. And truth be told, I definitely took a couple of these articles just to kind of highlight what are my favorite articles from this article. I will warn you though, these articles are very old, so all of the cards that they talk about specifically don't really apply anymore because Magic cards just aren't designed the way they used to be. The next on my list is an article called Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. This is an article written by Mark Rosewater back in 2002, and it just kind of talks about the different personalities of Magic players, the types of players that the game was initially designed for. It's not really a strategy article in any way, it's kind of interesting to see what the creators of the game think about when they were initially making the game. Next on the list is the first strategy article, and probably the best strategy article of all time if I am being completely honest. It is an article called Who's the Beatdown? Written by Mike Flores back in 1999, and this information is still relevant. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's outdated. So this article is basically about the fundamental question that you need to ask yourself in every game. It's the most important question because if you answer it wrong at any point in the game, you are much more likely to lose that game. Go check it out. I promise you it will totally change the way that you look at the game after you read it. The next article is in the same vein as the last one, Who's the Beatdown 2? Multitasking, written by Zvi Mowshowitz, and there was no date on that article. So basically this one goes into inevitability, or basically who is favored to win the long game. Essentially, from this turn forward, if the game were to last forever, who is favored to win? And that ultimately comes down to who has more cards in their hand, who is drawing more cards per turn, things like that. It also goes into more specifically figuring out how to recognize what exactly matters in the game. So at any point in time, maybe you should kill this creature, maybe you should let it live so that you can save your removal spell for a better threat. Next on the list is Investment by Michael Flores. This is written in 1999 and talks about card counts and mana investment, what resources you actually are spending when you play a spell. This is the type of article that really digs into the nuances of the game and breaks it down not just as a game, but more of a fundamental understanding of the intricacies of play. So imagine like when you're in science class and you start out by learning about the atom. Nobody really uses that information unless they go off to be a scientist or a chemical engineer or something of that nature. In a similar fashion, this article kind of ties together the relationship you have between managing your life total, managing your mana available per turn, and managing the number of cards you have in your hand. Next up, we have Tempo and Card Advantage by Eric, no last name, written in 1999, and it covers the two fundamental ways to pull ahead in a game of Magic. So Tempo is basically using all of your resources available every turn so that you can cast your creatures on time, play to the board quickly, and get your opponent dead before they can do anything. In this way, if you come out of the gates swinging and end up being faster than your opponent, you'll end up closing the game before they could have even done anything. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, Card Advantage is essentially based on this idea that if you draw more cards than your opponent, then inevitably my cards will trade with your cards, and in the long run, the person with more cards will end up being able to leverage the extra cards they have left over to win the game. The next article that I decided to include is The Philosophy of Fire by Michael Flores back in 2004. In short, this article is about the fact that, each player starts with 20 life, and if a burn spell deals 3 damage, then you need 7 burn spells to win the game. Well, the tricky part here is that the first 19 points of damage that you deal don't actually matter, because it's only the last life point that wins you the game. Now, as simple as this concept is, I still recommend that you go to the article, read about it. Mike goes much more into detail about some of the nuances of this style of thinking, and hopefully you'll learn something. And moving on, we have Stuck in the Middle with Bruce, written by John F. Rizzo back in 2001. Now, this is a different kind of article that just kind of outlines the reality of playing Magic. Whenever you play a game of Magic, one person walks away from the table as a winner, and the other person walks away a loser. And there's no way to avoid this outcome unless you end up drawing, which is no fun either. So at some point in time, you're going to come across a losing streak, and you're gonna get a little bit down about the game, let's be completely honest. So this article does a great job at outlining just kind of what you can do to pick yourself back up, because losing is just a part of Magic, and the way that you deal with it definitely affects your ability to get better moving forward. Now, the last article I decided to include is One Word by Jim Davis, written in 2013. In this article, Jim goes into the one word that will make you a better Magic player. And he starts out this article by outlining just kind of the 3 different types of players there are. The first of which is the player who wants to get better. The second is the player who doesn't necessarily want to get better, but they just want to play Magic and have fun. And then the third type is the kind of player who says they want to get better, but really, when they're faced with the decision between getting better or having fun, they're gonna pick having fun more often than not. Ultimately, you'll find that a lot of Magic players are in this third category, and to make sure that that isn't you, you can learn about this one word that will move you from category 3 up to category 1, which is the player that actually wants to get better at the game. Anyway, those are my most recommended articles for getting better at Magic if you're newer to the game, or even if you're a little bit more experienced but just haven't quite figured out the fundamentals. If you haven't seen these articles before, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you read them. They will make you a better player, I promise. So anyway guys, hopefully you found something in this video to be useful in making you a better Magic player, but for now, may all of your top decks be gas so you can keep crushing your opponents. I'll see you guys next time.